Good evening, volleyball fans, and welcome inside Spring Lake Park High School, where tonight the Panthers host the Centennial Cougars in boys volleyball. John Etten, Blythe Whaley, glad to be with you as a pair of 2-2 teams match up. Not just the same record, Blythe, but here on North Metro TV, we've seen each of these teams play. They both lost to Blaine 3-0, so everything that we know about them lines up for probably a fairly even matchup tonight.
Yeah, that comes to fruition too. Talking with Coach Sarah Nelson here for the Cougars, she said this should be just a very even, tight matchup for what she's seeing on paper, but we all know how that can change when we get to the game.
Sure, and Coach Nelson tonight running out Dylan Ayers, Jordan Powers, Andrew Girton, Bradley Short, Kevin Janza, and Cade Nelson as her starters. On the other side, Shelly Deegan will start Blake Cruz, Riley Colbaum, Nurjis Lee, Riyad Hussein, Zlatan Sharimovic, and Remy Zhang tonight. Players coming out onto the court now. Cougars in the road reds, and Spring Lake Park in their home blues. We talked about their games against Blaine. Both have been in action since then. For Centennial, it was a 3-0 win against Forest Lake. Road victory there. Now they're back on the road tonight. Spring Lake Park losing at Andover in their last matchup, so they've lost back-to-back coming into tonight's face-off against the Cougars.
You would think that would bring some fire in their belly, wanting to get back on that winning streak when you've lost a couple games. You knew what that winning felt like here to start the season, having those couple victories early on, but I just would think tonight it's going to make them want it that much more.
Both these teams in search of a victory tonight before, an arguably winnable matchup next time out. For the Cougars, they play Patrick Henry, who is winless this season, and Spring Lake Park will get another 2-2 team when they face Mounds View. Mounds View, a team that Centennial beat at the start of the year. We are ready for the opening. Back and ready to go. Under Lake Park. Nice set to the middle, tip past the blockers. This one popped up and over, punched right back to Spring Lake Park side. Panthers set it to the outside, pushed to the far end. Another good set on the Centennial side. Here the spike goes over, courtesy of Jordan Powers. On the other side, return by Sharimovic, and this one into the net. Point for Centennial. The Cougars get us started 1-0.
So far, I like the communication both sides. I feel like these guys are talking, making sure that they're on the same page in the early minutes.
Strong serve. This one pushed back over, then slammed to the floor. Rising up with the height was Kevin Janza, the junior, making it 2-0 now. He is a force at the front. Ready on the serve once again for Centennial. He's sent over clean by Powers. This one pushed towards the back. Ayers has to play it. Now Powers back sets to the outside. Good clean spike there, but it's picked up on the Cade Nelson try. Back on the Spring Lake Park side. They give it to the right. Blocker there, and a shutdown defensive effort from Cade Nelson. The senior makes it 3-0 with that play. So good service run here for Powers, the junior, on the jump serve once again with that lefty swing. Out of the back row, Colbaum plays it towards the front. Right-handed spike is blocked back, popped up into the air by Cruz. Pushed deep, racing back out of his Powers, plays it to the front, miscommunication there between Janza and Nelson. Both wanted to hit it instead of setting it up, and nowhere near was Dylan Ayers, this mainstay setter.
Something that Sarah Nelson was telling me before the game is a lot of these guys, it's their first year out. And so just seeing the success they've had this season, feeling pretty good about what the future could hold for them.
Here, deep push by Spring Lake Park. It's something that we've talked a lot about in some of the previous volleyball matches that we've put on here on North Metro TV. This is a club sport. There was no spring sports, high school sanctioned or otherwise, last spring. And so, if you even were a sophomore 2 years ago, you might have played and then lost it here going into your senior season. Think, well, haven't played a whole year, maybe I'll just skip out. And we don't see a overwhelming number of seniors on any roster. Cougars setting it to the middle. Good spike. Well played there. Looked like Janza and Nelson confusing the defense. That was all for Janza, and he slaps it down to make it 4-2 Centennial. And then there's the other factor that, you know, first year out doesn't mean first year on varsity. It oftentimes means first time playing volleyball. Janza back on the serve now. Big man. Sends it over with ease. This ball popped over clean by Lee. Here, touched around the blocker by Nelson, and no return will come from Spring Lake Park. It's a 5-2 Cougar advantage.
And it comes to show oftentimes you don't need all the power to get it done. We just see that light touch over the net for the Cougars and resulting in the points. Even
Janza with a light touch on his serve, and it worked to set up a great opportunity. It's finished off by the Cougars. Andrew Girton, 6-2, 4-point edge is Centennial's largest lead here in our opening set.
I know you touched a little bit about seniors and not too many of them, but one of them for the Cougars, Cade Nelson, is the son of Sarah Nelson. So she's enjoyed coaching her son, being able to help them have a team.
This ball just a little bit, yeah, just caught a little bit of that back tape. A point for Spring Lake Park makes it 6-3. And I believe Cade Nelson is one of the few players on either of these rosters who has significant playing time outside of high school club volleyball. You know, one of the few players that showed up and it wasn't their first year ever playing volleyball.
Yeah, exactly. He's currently leading the team in kills and digs, and of course, like you said, when you have that experience, that time to back it up, and a mom who's immersed in volleyball as well and coached on the girls' side for some time before this, just helps to have it around the family.
Lee on the serve, floats it over short. Libero gets on top of that one, and then two on top of the swing back. It's sent wildly back to the wall by Kohlbaum. And point to the Cougars.
I feel like you hear it go either way. Some kids would love to be in a family that their parents played their sport and they understand. And other kids are like, no, I'd rather not have them being around all the time.
Served by Jake Ball, does get over free, then it's pushed deep into the corner. Back on it for the Panthers was Remy Jean. Touched over free, Libero pops it up, airs, sets it to Nelson. His spike off the blocker's faces, comes back over. That went through the arms and bounced off the noggin. Zhang out of the back row. Spring Lake Park setting it up to the middle. The spike, not enough behind that. It goes into the net on the attack by Kohlbaum, and it's an 8-3 lead for Centennial.
You know, you got to use whatever part is going to make it happen. If it happens to be your face.
Jake Ball on the serve. Here, set, and Nelson saves that one. Then it's touched down to the ground. Nice job up front between Nelson and Girton. Girton gets the kill. Back up to now up to a 6-point lead for Centennial. 9 serving 3. This one into the net. So we go to 9-4. Spring Lake Park to serve. Substitutions as well. Coming onto the court is Boomer Zhang. The sophomore will step in for the serve. And one more coming on. Carlos Rodriguez Lazo, the junior. Spells Blake Cruz. Boomer Zhang serve, flat-footed, but a deadly one. 3 hits won't get it over for the Cougars. They were scrambling for that. In the end, it's a point for Spring Lake Park. 5 serving 9 coming up. Boomer Zhang once again. This one played into the air cleanly by Powers, and Centennial can't get it over with 3 hits. That was the 4th shot.
If you're the Cougars, you just got to shake off these last 2 times. And just what can you do to get back on the same page? Your team's had a few miscommunications. How can you just start talking and get on the same page?
Switching to the jump serve now is Zhang. He's still back there. This one popped up by Riley Zhang. Boomer Zhang sets it to the outside. Spiked around the block. Nelson pops it up. Ayers gives it back to him. He'll spike it clean. Set up at the front by Zhang. The spike into the block. Great job by the Centennial. They're the first team to double digits here in our opening set. It's 10-6 Cougars. I thought watching Zhang come in to serve. His first serve or two was flat-footed, real conservative. Then as he got comfortable on his run, he went to the jump serve. Here, set up to the middle, pushed over to the Cougars' side. Nelson onto it, gets the clean hit, touched the top tape, and it falls down near the attack line. An 11-6 lead for the Cougars after another point. So back on the serve is Nelson for the Cougars. These teams don't have particularly deep benches. We haven't seen any substitutions on, or just one substitution, I believe, on the Cougars side. Here, this spike into the block, kept alive, and it's touched over. Cade Nelson with the diving save, and then it got redirected up at the top. Everyone leaves that one alone. Big point for the Cougars as they kept it alive to allow their opposition to make the mistake. They're doubling up on the Panthers 12-6.
You gotta love when the effort pays off. You see him sacrificing his body, diving, getting on the court, and making it happen.
Really got Janza on the bench jacked up. He was screaming at his teammates. Here, this shot off the blockers, out of bounds. That's the point for Spring Lake Park. They get the serve back. 7 serving 12 upcoming. Back for the service is Hussein, the junior. Nelson to Ayers, and the set a little bit rough there. Tough to handle on the outside. Spring Lake Park has had trouble getting the serve, but once they've gotten it, they've been able to get multiple points. Nelson pops that up. Ayers gives it back to him from the attack line. The spike dug out by the libero on the other side. Played up by Boomer Zhang, touched over by Riley Zhang, pushed back. Now to the Cougars side. Ayers up front, has to punch it over in desperation, but it's a good hit. Free ball back to the Cougars. Ayers under it, plays it to the outside. The spike around the block, pops right back, swung at, and this one out of bounds. Centennial going for that one touch. It's a hard habit to break with players who are inexperienced. That was a wild shot instead of a controlled play. 9 serving 12 as the run continues for Spring Lake Park.
Yeah, exactly what you mentioned. The Panthers going on a run here as they finally got the serve back.
Here's Zhang on the spike. Great kill from the outside. Big time hit by Remy Zhang, the 8th grader. Really able to get up in the air. He is one of the shorter players on the court. So the gap closing, just a 2-point advantage for Centennial. Cougars pop this one up and just able to save it. Nice play by Nelson. Nelson's having a really nice match. We've seen him before. I think he started stronger here than he has in any other match. This ball spiked right into the block. Well done by Spring Lake Park. Kolbaum and Lazo combining there. And with that, we have a 1-point matchup.
I feel like the confidence really built here for the Panthers in these last few possessions.
Panthers unable to tie at 12. Big point there for the Cougars. Janza checks back in. Here, hard serve, played into the air cleanly. Pushed up front, free ball by Remy Zhang given over. Ball, Ayers. Nelson with the spike. Nice dig on the other end. Diving dig by the Cougars. Ayers sets it to Janza. Janza misses on it.
I feel like that's when you get ahead of yourself. He's thinking exactly where he wants it to go. He wasn't necessarily making sure, obviously. You got to connect with the ball. You say that in other sports like football, you got to make sure that you catch it before you can run. And, of course, you see that in volleyball as well.
I mean, watching Janza play, it's interesting to see how he attacks the ball, because a big guy like that probably wants to swing his arm as hard as he can, and he doesn't do that. He goes up and he gives a little hand flick on the ball because he gets so high. And by using his hand instead of his whole arm, he has way more control. This ball towards the front of the net, he got a little close to coming over the top on that one. Instead, it goes into the net, and another point for the Cougars. A needed run for them after they had let their lead slip away. Remember, they were up by as many as 6. Now it's a 3-point advantage, 15 serving 12. Zhang to Zhang and back again. Popped into the air, now given to the outside. Good spike. This one comes high up, and Janza finishes it. I mean, he just has such an advantage in this matchup. Spring Lake Park does not have the height to face him at the net. Ayers on the serve. Back set to the right side. Rodriguez-Lazo had it blocked back. Now this touched cleanly by Spring Lake Park. Late reactions, they get back on it and play it over. Nelson, Ayers to the middle. Good adjustment by Janza. Dug out by the Panthers. They'll set it to the middle. Spike over by Lee. Ayers to Janza. Deep touch that time. Zhang setting it up. Back row attack, and that one by Hussein. Ball touches it back to the Panthers side. Long rally here. Ball to the middle. Lee blocked back by Janza. We play on, and this one touched over. Nelson, Ayers to ball. Ball into the net.
Panthers come away with that point, and you go back how many times before where they really had to just give all of their effort to make sure that even stayed a rally.
What a point for the Panthers. We've had some long ones here tonight, and that's usually a sign of two fairly evenly matched teams. So we thought we might see that coming in with the 2-2 records for each of them. We certainly are. Served by Cruz. Nelson gets it up. Now to the middle. Janza. Again, not a big swing. He just rises up into the air and then picks his spot. He pushed that between blockers. It's 17-13 Centennial. Wild shot there on the serve, and that gives service back over to Spring Lake Park. They're within 3, 14 serving 17.
We've seen some great runs when Spring Lake Park gets the ball, so.
Remy Zhang on the serve. The receive went long. Now Centennial with another chance at it. Ayers, and it looked like Powers that time getting caught up on each other. Led to confusion, and is at the start of a run for Spring Lake Park at the service line. Remy Zhang on the jump serve. Receive up to Ayers. Janza adjusts. This popped into the air cleanly. Thanks to Sharamovich, and then it's played over. Nicely done by Spring Lake Park to find that back edge. Centennial wasn't sure what to do with it. 1 point separating the two teams here in the opening set.
I was watching the game that you and JW did, Centennial versus Blaine, and of course the court looks a lot cleaner with all the lines that were going on in that Centennial court they were playing on. Sure, it's pretty nice playing here to at least know where the ball's gonna hit.
That ball just out of bounds. Very, very close along the line. Centennial, again, does not relinquish the lead as Spring Lake Park claws their way back, and Centennial stretches it to a 2-point advantage here. Janza at the service line. Floats it over. Ball up to the front, popped into the air and pushed over deep. That one out of bounds. It was wide as well. 3-point edge for the Cougars, 19-16. Janza ready again. Spring Lake Park setting it up for the back row. Hit over by Kolbaum. No, he couldn't clear the net. 20-16. Spring Lake Park's going to need to get that serve back as soon as possible. Janza out of the back row. Kolbaum plays it to the front. Here a spike by, that was Hussein. Nelson trying to return it, hits it into the net. Frustrated with himself on that one. 20-17. Will we see a service run from Spring Lake Park? It's Lee setting up, the senior. Nelson from the back row. Ayers sets it back up to Nelson. He powers it into the block for a point. 21-17. A lot of Cade Nelson on that play. Going back for the serve is Jake Ball.
Well, you wanted the redemption here on that last one, so when you have that already in your head, sometimes it can help you.
Ball floated over, popped into the air by Malave. Now this shot too strong. Good read by Centennial. They leave it alone. 22-17. So they lead by 5, and they need only 3 to take this opener. Ball, deep shot. Zhang up towards the front. This set to Hussein, or excuse me, to Kolbaum, who tried to get creative on that play because the set was not where he was expecting it. Point to the Cougars as it went into the net, 23-17. Timeout taken by Spring Lake Park. So with the break in the action, tonight would be the last night to send an email off to your AD, whether it's for one of these schools or a different school. But we know that the legislative body of the Minnesota State High School League is scheduled to meet tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. So yeah, don't wait till tomorrow. Do it tonight. If you have a dog in this fight or enjoy watching boys volleyball, would like to see it as a sanctioned sport by the high school league, they need a 2/3 majority vote in order to allow that to happen. Now, we've talked about boys volleyball and its growth here on the other matchups that we have covered on North Metro TV. I know they're also voting on girls wrestling tomorrow, which I thought would be especially interesting. We've covered a number of female wrestlers here. Centennial had one that had a great career. And one of the interesting things about the proposal is it's to create a season that would coincide with the boys' season, and the girls would still be allowed to wrestle in matches and meets. There would just be, I think it's almost about the state tournament, right?
Yeah.
Have some champions that just wrestle girls versus girls. So I think both proposals will be interesting. We'll see what the high school league does with them as this spike into the block, good for a kill. Point for the Cougars, courtesy of Girton. I actually love watching when ladies wrestle because as being smaller on average than men, they can work in those lower weight classes for a lot longer. Here, Spring Lake Park gets the point and keeps us going. You know, so often you'll see guys grow up, boys grow up, and they can't wrestle at the lower weights anymore. So it's almost like if you're not in 7th, 8th grade, you don't get to stay in those lower weights. But when you have a skilled girl on your team, she can oftentimes stay at a lower weight through her entire high school career and really perfect it.
Something I thought was interesting, even just about the boys volleyball, was I think Star Tribune was quoted as saying like 90% of the athletes who are trying to be playing boys volleyball weren't already trying to play in another spring sport. So it really was just adding more athletes versus taking away from some of those other sports, which I thought was interesting because some coaches were concerned. What if they made this a team?
So Spring Lake Park gets another point, keeps us going, 24-19. It's been set point for 3 consecutive points. Spring Lake Park has won all of those. And we've talked about some of the different backgrounds. We see a larger Asian American population participating in boys volleyball than we do in a lot of other Minnesota sports. Here, this shot played back and forth. Good hit by Spring Lake Park, right down the middle. Kolbaum with the kill. It's 24-20.
Definitely getting that at just the right time.
Serving is Boomer Jean. Nelson receives, airs, giving it to the middle. This spike played nicely by the defense, but Spring Lake Park can't keep up. Kate Nelson finishes it off, 25-20. Centennial wins the first set. We'll pause, come back for the start of the second shortly here on North Metro TV. 1-0. After the first set, Centennial winning 25-20. We're getting set for the start of the second. John Haddon, Blythe Whaley, our entire North Metro TV crew, glad to be with you this evening. And Blythe, in that first set, it was Centennial not always at arm's length, but always on top, right? They never let Spring Lake Park take a lead, even though there were some great runs by the Panthers to pull within 1 point.
I know, like, after you said that, Spring Lake Park was serving again. I thought they were maybe going to go ahead because now they were within striking distance. And, of course, what we'd been seeing on those runs didn't start to happen as frequently there in the later moments.
Dylan Ayers serving to start, and he puts it into the net. So Spring Lake Park with their first lead of the night. It's 1-0 here in the second set. Back on the serve is Hussein. Nelson receives. Ayers sets it up at the front. Nelson saves it. Spring Lake Park working the free ball now. Nelson, a diving dig, and no one else will get to that. You know, it sounded like, you know, if you ever played volleyball in high school, there'd be one person who would run to every position and try and play every ball. That's how it felt with Cade Nelson, but he was just in the right place every time. Great effort, didn't work out in the end. Cougars on the receive, this ball touched over. Spring Lake Park with a great spike. Good work from the outside by Remy Zhang, and it's a 3-0 start for the Panthers. So more serving from Hussein. That was sharp. That might have been out in the end, but Centennial played it, and they do touch it over. Zhang sets the middle. This spike out of bounds. That was a close one. There's only one official here for this club sport. No corner judges, no down ref.
Yeah, you got to see all of the guys turn their head, anxiously awaiting what that point was going to be awarded.
Cougars get another one just as quickly. Ready on another serve is Jordan Powers. The lefty swings it over. Kolbaum up to the front. Zhang to Zhang. This spike, good for a kill. Well done there as Boomer Zhang set up Remy Zhang. Now, Boomer did not start the first set, but he is starting here in this second set. Nelson pops it up. Ayers gives it back to him. Big swing. Lee able to recover on it. Now it's punched over by Rodriguez Lazo. Bumped up to the front. Nelson gives it over free. Kolbaum. Zhang. Lee around the block. Ayers got under it. Nelson diving, can't make the play. Great effort, but that's a point for the Panthers, who lead 4-2.
Yeah, the confidence being built off of that early point, getting awarded to them, having the lead in this second set, and growing on it.
Great serve, and Centennial then with a miscommunication, even though they received it well, end up getting nothing. So 5-2, Spring Lake Park back out to a 3-point advantage. They started with a 3-0 run, 6-2. So their largest advantage so far tonight. Popped up, Rodriguez Lazo punches it over. Powers, Ayers, Nelson, his spike, blocked back, popped up. Ayers gives it to him again, and again a spike. That one good. Off the hands of the blockers. It floats backwards, and no one else can get there. So we saw Centennial in one of the early matchups, their second matchup of the season against Blaine. And Blaine won 3-0. Blaine was the superior team. The Cougars are playing much better volleyball tonight than we saw that night. Now that was in the awkward, tiny Centennial gym, but this is better volleyball from these young men. Nelson recovers. This ball spiked. Janza gets his arms on it, but it swings wildly. So he checks out. Substitutions on both sides. Spring Lake Park ready to serve as they lead 7-3.
Yeah, Coach Sarah Nelson was saying before the game here that they have half of the guys from last season. Only 12 people came out, and that's just due to the fact of having missed that year last year. And so just knowing that possibly here in the years to come, that's going to continue to grow, but how can they get through this year and have these guys gain some experience?
Panthers set the middle for Lee, blocked back, popped into the air, kept alive, and given over free nicely. Libero back on it. Now Ayers sets it. Nelson into the net that time. 8-3. Spring Lake Park coming to life here in this second set. Back on the serve is Blake Cruz. Powers receives. Ayers pops it up to the back row, and it's given over free. Zhang from the outside. Ayers got it up. Nelson with the second touch, and Powers pushes it. Kolbaum up to the front. Back set to the right side, and that ball swung out a little too strong that time by Sherimovic. Coming on is Jake Ball. Ball serving it fairly deep. Sent right back to him. He wasn't able to make a play on it the second time. So 9-4 our score. I keep thinking about that 90% number that you threw out, Blythe. People always say they want more and more people, kids to participate in sports, the team building and whatnot. And if you can look at these two teams and know that 9 of the 10 people on the floor, or on the two teams, so roughly about 10 people on each of these teams, 18 of them wouldn't have played high school sports this year.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. And you think of some of these guys, of course, like Jansa was, he's playing football, he's playing basketball,
Yep.
he's playing a lot of different sports already. But of course, if he's not playing a spring sport, how awesome is it that he's still active in that part of the season?
Sure. I will tell you that I have never talked to a high school coach or a college coach who told me, boy, I wish he wasn't playing that other sport. It's really distracting from. They all want their guys to stay in shape, doing whatever they think is fun, and then expanding their athletic ability by doing something that isn't repetitive and the same thing all year round.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped me in my career, just being able to switch between the two. It's still helping you keep that competitive edge.
The same reason I moved from the couch to the Bark Lounge. Like, you got to go from, you can't just be doing one thing all the time. 11-5 after that last point for the Panthers. They are ready to go with another serve. Lee back on it. Strong, solid strike. Nelson plays it. Now it's given to the outside, put into the net by the Cougars. And Cougars played such a strong first set, but they are struggling to match it here in the second. Well, Spring Lake Park has raised their game, leading 12-5. That's a lead ace. 13-5. Panthers, who never led in the first set, have an 8-point advantage in the second, and a timeout is taken by Centennial coach Sarah Nelson.
Yeah, you're seeing the Panthers just really gain the confidence, getting that first point early on and just rolling with it. These guys seem excited, but also just the communication, how they've been able to hang with this together.
So again, coming up for these teams, Centennial's got Patrick Henry in their sights. And that's on Thursday. Spring Lake Park plays here at home again against the 2-2 Mounds View team on Wednesday. You're the Panthers, having lost 2 matches in a row and then dropping this first set tonight. It could have been an opportunity to think that this season is swinging a different way. However, you know what, before I go too deep down that road, let's not forget that the records and the scores that we're sharing are just from their true match play. They have played in tournaments. I know Spring Lake Park did very well at their first tournament of the season. I think they finished 3rd out of 10 teams. So there was some confidence building that day. And hopefully a couple of losses wouldn't take all of that away. Serve a little too long by Lee out of the break, so the timeout by Nelson works to that extent. And it's 13-6. Served by the Cougars. Riley Zhang pops it up. This ball set to the outside, spiked wide as Kolbaum misses on that attempt. Back-to-back points for the Cougars. Those have been hard to come by so far. Rough set, but it is popped over, and Ball reads it right.
Again, this is the time when you see errors and they continue to flow because you haven't sorted out that communication or settled down and just played your game.
Joust at the net. Janza got a piece of it, and Spring Lake Park got a piece of the net. So with that, a nice little run here. 4 straight points out of the timeout called by Coach Nelson. serve too strong, so the run ends, and it's a 15-9 Spring Lake Park advantage.
Panthers put themselves in a good position getting that big run out of the gates because, of course, yes, you do have some errors here in the middle, but when you think about that they went through those errors, now we're still sitting up by 5. If you're the Panthers, that feels pretty good knowing, hey, if we can continue on this and get a run here, we're still in good positioning to finish this off.
Janza pushes it over. Zhang up to Zhang, and this ball popped out. Janza swats it right back to the Panthers' side. Ayers set to the middle. Janza with the spike. Riley Zhang digs. Boomer Zhang pops it up. This one put down the line. Ball gets there. And a good quick play up front by Riley Kohlbaum gets him the kill. It is a 16-9 lead. So a 7-point advantage for the Panthers. Am I ahead? Oh, I might be ahead one. 15-9, the score, my apologies. Here off the shot, just wide. And the Cougars get the point back. Ten serving 15. Boomer Zhang setting up and touched over by Hussein. Janza gives it back. Nice dig. This one, 8 up airs, kind of got up in his shoulder area. It's so tough to make a play on a ball that comes in hot there.
Yeah, great positioning, great placement there by the Panthers.
Hussein back to serve. That big jump serve of his. Janza pushes it over after a wild series for the Cougars on their side of the net. And a great play from the middle. Kohlbaum coming in strong here in the second set. This spike popped into the air by Nelson. Ayers gives it to the front. Janza with the spike. That one finds the floor. Boomer Zhang with the effort, but couldn't make a play. 11-17 the score. The other thing I think about is some of the fans watching here today also wouldn't be here.
True,
because their athlete wouldn't be an athlete. They would just be a student. This ball into the net.
And you think about it too, there's so many schools, of course, during this pandemic that haven't had in-person learning, and this was the only way their kids were having some of that interaction between each other was coming out and playing.
Ball pushed over to the Centennial side. Popped into the air for Nelson. Into the net. Real nice lead here as we get into the late stages of the second set. 18 serving 12, and here's Kohlbaum, the hot hand here in the second. Although he had a heat check on a play a couple of points ago. Ayers gets to it. Nelson has to give it over free, but does so nicely with a deep ball. Kohlbaum up to the front. Zhang to Zhang. Cross-court kill. Remy Zhang finishing off the play.
Can just tell how excited they are. All the teammates clobbering him after he had that.
The youngest player on the court for either team. What a serve. Kohlbaum feeling it. to 12 as Centennial asks for another timeout. They are down by 8. That matches the largest Panther lead here in this match. Really fun series of points. I mean, a lot of this has been fun, but as we've watched in the first match, when JW and I were doing it this season, we talked about kind of the novelty. Hey, boys volleyball, this is different. We don't normally do this. And we also did a lot of comparison to girls volleyball. Hey, these guys don't necessarily know exactly where they're supposed to be all the time. They're not sure how to handle everything. And that's to be expected with people who are playing for the first time in an organized sport. But here today, you know, look at those last 2 points. Couldn't do a serve any better. I think Kohlbaum just did that one. Zhang's spike right before that was textbook. from the outside with the cross-court attack. So really nice work by these guys. And it's kind of fun to watch the growth because there are only so many teams. So we're seeing them play each other a lot over and over again. And we're seeing growth throughout the course of this season.
How quickly some of these guys are able to learn things that they haven't done before. And I think that's what's interesting just about people who are young, just how quickly in general that they can learn anything.
Served by Kolbaum. That had some bite to it. Nelson got it up in the air, and he's going to get to give it over. Free ball. Kolbaum up to the front. Zhang sets the middle for Lee. He touches it over the block. Able to get under it was Halva who's on the court. Kolbaum. Zhang set the outside. Zhang had it blocked back. Hussein keeps it alive. Misplay. Lee sends it over, but wide. Good point, and outlasting that time are the Cougars to get the serve back on their side. Janza will do the honors. Serve floated over. Ball up to the front. Lee with the spike from the middle. Blockers popped it up. Nelson gives it back. Diving dig Hussein. Boomer Zhang to Riley Zhang. Spike. Did it touch the blockers? No. Out of bounds. Cougar point.
Yeah, great idea by the Panthers. They wanted to do it again. They already had that great cross.
Janza floats it. Given right back on one touch. Kolbaum up to the front. Rough set, but Riley Zhang adjusts. Nelson into the net. Much needed point for Spring Lake Park. They were having some trouble. Substitutions coming on. It had been 3 points in a row for Centennial. So hard to maintain a long run, though, and this is a big deficit. 7 points between the two teams here in the second set. Ayers under this, and Nelson serves it sends it over with the spike. Riley Zhang pushes it. Miscommunication. The Cougars can't have that at this juncture.
I love when teams switch it up. They send it over, kind of that unexpected ball.
Nelson dives to get under that serve receive. Halva, and then it's put over by Powers. Ball set to the back row. Push to the corner, and great play there by Kolbaum. It's not all about big swings. Great vision. Now, neither of these teams in match play has played a match that wasn't a sweep.
Yeah.
Right now, we're about to go to 1-1 if Spring Lake Park can get these final 2 points. Popped up into the air, set to the middle for Lee. His spike blocked back and pushed over. Kolbaum's been all over that back row. Here's Zhang, too strong, as he floats that one wide on the big swing. 23-15, Centennial within 8 again. So trailed by as many as 9. They've got a big comeback to try and put on here. Jake Ball with the serve. Kolbaum up to the front. Back set by Cruz, and the spike over. Powers digs to the middle. This spike. Kolbaum up front. The set to the front middle, and point goes to Spring Lake Park. Just too much net contact from the Cougars. I didn't see if it was Ayers or Gurdon, but both of them were in the area. And we've got set point for Spring Lake Park here in the second. Riley Zhang, big jump serve. Wow. Powers gets to it. They will not return it. An ace to finish. And Spring Lake Park has knotted up the match at 1 apiece. 25-15. The score in the second. We'll pause, come back for the start of the third because we're playing at least 4 here on North Metro TV. Centennial won the first set by 5. Spring Lake Park answered back, winning the second by 10. Great back and forth action in both of them. And now we are ready for the third set. John Ed and Blythe Whaley back with you here on North Metro TV. You know, one of the unique things is that they don't change sides. I think that's more pandemic related than it is boys volleyball versus girls volleyball, because the rules shouldn't be any different. My favorite quote that we heard is that the rules aren't different, they're just enforced less. So they let the boys get away with a little bit more, which is standard when you watch players who have not fully developed their skills. Just want to keep the action going and whatnot and be a little more relaxed. So we've seen times when guys have stepped over the line under the net and nothing's been called there. That's one of the more common ones that has been let go. Double touches on sets. Here, Janza with the push on our first point. Kohlbaum gives it over free. Nelson, airs. Powers, shot, blocked back. Powers and Nelson tumble over each other. 1-0 Spring Lake Park, jumping out to the advantage just the way they did in the second.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too, of just what that's looked like. Whichever team has gotten out to that early lead has been the one who finished off the set. So possibly looking in favor of Spring Lake Park, but of course these first few points will maybe be more telling.
Back for the service, Boomer Zhang, the sophomore. Flat-footed, sends it over. Nelson airs. Janza's shot, played forward. Boomer Zhang out of the back row, rather Remy Zhang out of the back row. And then Ayers tried to go with the second touch. A little deception, but it did not work, and Spring Lake Park moves out to a 2-0 lead. Panthers been great about points in bunches. This receive rolls back. Nelson saves it. Janza touches it over. Ball to the front. That one touched softly. Seems like Kohlbaum can do no wrong. He started with some great hard precision shots. He's put more finesse into it lately, and everything is working.
And I love that as an athlete. Sometimes it just, you're feeling it more games than other. Everything, whatever movement you're making, so the confidence continues to build throughout that match.
Kohlbaum on the block.
I think I saw him jump higher than he has the whole night after that one.
Well, he's one of the taller players on that side of the net, and so when he jumps up there, got to be careful about not landing on someone.
Right.
The Cougars set it to the middle for Janza. Nicely played up into the air by Malay. And pushed over deep into the corner, a kill for Hussein. Well placed. A 5-0 start for Spring Lake Park in the third.
Those have been some lethal points here we've seen lately by the Panthers. Just those deep placements, finding those corners.
We're hearing Coach Nelson more than we have all night. She is trying to be vocal to her team. This serve goes into Kohlbaum. He can't save that one. So with the service error, 1 serving 5 coming up. Floated deep. Malayev got on it. Kohlbaum to the front. Hussein touches it over. Powers airs to Janza in the middle. Malayev pops it up. And then Hussein second touches it over. Airs up to Janza. He'll touch it over on the second. Zhang sets the middle. Kohlbaum with the push, and it rolls up on Powers. Now we got it over clean, but that wasn't necessarily a spectacular hit by Kohlbaum. However, everything's just working for him, and Powers could not handle the ball. 6 serving 1. This is Hussein. There's some confusion for Centennial about positioning. Now everyone's in position. Nelson gets to that, push to the front. Janza touches it over. Malay, Boomer Zhang, Riley Zhang, blocked back. Hussein pops it up. Boomer Zhang, and it's hit over on the free ball. Nelson pops it up, gets it back. His spike, Malay digs it out. Oh, some confusion there. Kohlbaum was in the spot that Boomer Zhang was trying to get to. And with that, Centennial gets its second point. Chance to serve. Short, and it's an ace. Not short of the net, but short of the defense in the back row. Nobody up front was looking for that, and it falls to the floor. 6-3 our score. The Cougars on the wrong end as Janza serves it again. This time a little too short. His serves got shorter each time. Kind of that medium range, then just over the net, and this one into the net. 7 serving 3. This is Riley Kolbaum. Out of bounds. Still limited crowds here. I don't know what the ruling is on crowds. I'm not sure that we're expanding until the 28th. I think is when we're going to expand the amount of folks who can be in the gym. Well, that's by the state rule. Then the high school league still has to weigh in if they're going to change things. As this ball blocked out of bounds, Panther point. There is a state tournament for club boys volleyball. And so how many people would be able to attend that in June? We don't know. Coming in to serve is Blake Cruz.
And as you pointed out, so much it can change in just this short amount of time that we have left. We just have, that's less than a month now we're talking.
Yep. Ball up towards the front and then touched over. Panthers looking to return. Riley Zhang, spike, popped into the air. It can't quite make it over. Valiant efforts by the Cougars, but this is a 9-4 Spring Lake Park lead. Loving how vocal this one family for Spring Lake. I imagine it's the Zhang family.
Yeah.
Not all of the Zhangs on the roster are related, but 2 of them are. And I can't remember if Peter and Boomer or Peter and Remy and Boomer. I don't remember which 2 are off the top of my head.
But I'm sure the family is still cheering for her.
And they're cheering for everybody, right? We could see that. They've been as loud as anybody during Kolbaum's runs here tonight.
Yeah.
10-5 our score after the teams trade points. Centennial on the serve. Kolbaum pops it up. Cruz towards the front. This shot blocked back, kept alive. It's out of bounds. Quick hits there, but in the end, the efforts of Andrew Girton get it done. Cougars pull within 4. 6 serving 10. That one beautifully put right towards the back line. It's an ace. So Cade Nelson going back, looking to continue this strong service run. Hussein, Cruz, back set. Kolbaum with a good strong push. It's a kill out of the back row. So an 11-7 advantage for Spring Lake Park after the latest points for Kolbaum, who was on the court for every other match that I've covered for Spring Lake Park, but he was not this big of a contributor. Zhang on the spike. Nelson receives. Bumped back to him, and Nelson gives it over free. Kolbaum. Cruz. Hussein with the push. Nelson. Ayers sets it to the middle. Spike. Good for a kill. Nicely done that time by Centennial's Andrew Girton. Down to a 3-point lead. Panthers have led by as many as 5 in this matchup tonight. Serve and ace. That one ate up Hussein. Now just 2 points between the 2 teams. We're even in sets here in the third, 1-1 between Spring Lake Park and Centennial.
And now the Cougars, trying to take the lead back, and that hasn't happened yet in the set.
It's not going to happen here on that serve either. And the gap widens back to 3. 12 serving 9 coming up. Lee ready to go. Off the receive, up to the front. Good joust between Janza and Kolbaum. Now another attack by the defense, and it is out of bounds. It looked good from over here, but it did not fall in. And by look good, I don't mean it looked like it was in bounds. It just looked like a good defensive play by the blockers. You've got to angle yourself inwards to force the ball back that way. 10 serving 12. Zhang underneath it. Kolbaum keeps it alive, and then a miscommunication. It's hit over and out. 1 point separating the two teams here about midway through the third. Ayers going deep with it. Hussein gets up. This ball given to Kolbaum. Big block back. Riley Zhang gets under it. Cruz back sets. Great adjustment there by Rodriguez Lalago. Big push. Malave gets it into the air. Set to the middle. Push deep. Nelson able to keep it going. Jansa with the push. This to the middle for Kolbaum. Spike and kill. Big long point. Big exclamation on the finish from Kolbaum. Does not let the lead go away.
I feel like we saw some good patience. The Panthers continuing that rally, but really finding that moment to strike.
You can get a substitution as Cherimovic comes back into the game. Zhang back in as well. Here's Boomer Zhang on the serve. Popped into the air. Ayers gives it over to Jansa. That was a wild play. Cougars make it work for them. They pulled back within one. Powers on the serve. Malay Libero up to the front. Ayers spiked by Kolbaum, played into the air by Powers. Ayers gives it over. Nelson shot blocked back, and then it comes back to the Panthers' side. Malay touches it up, and it's given over free. Pushed right back by Jansa. Up towards the front, mishandled, but it was touched by the Cougars, so we play on. Powers, this one up to Jansa. Malay gets to it just barely. This one touched over. We go on. Free ball. Touched over by Halva, up to the front, the spike, into the block, falls to the floor on the Cougars' side. Guess who? It's Riley Kolbaum. 2-point advantage for the Panthers.
The composure by the Panthers also throughout that rally.
Hussein hit the tape, but he powered that one right over. Nelson gives it over free, it's out of bounds. The lead stretches back to 3 for Spring Lake Park. Hussein, I thought, looked like he was almost nervous he was going to touch that with his head when he gave up on it and spun around. It's the right call to leave that alone. Hussein on the spike. Nelson pops it into the air. Given back to him, he plays it over free and he finds the floor. Oh, a break for the Cougars as a free ball becomes a kill.
I feel like those are the ones that hurt the most, figuratively and literally. Just, of course, you're giving it all, you're diving, making the effort, and when it doesn't pay off.
Ayers nicely done on the dig. This ball towards the front. Kolbaum rises up to slap it to the floor. Did he come in that? Oh, he caught the net on that play. My apologies. The point goes the other way. It's 15-14. Jansa floats it over. Malave, Boomer Zhang, this set. Good hit. That's going to be 4 touches on the other side. Cherimovic gets it done. Kolbaum on the serve. Throws that one way up. What a hit! Kolbaum just went dead center right at the Cougars' Powers, and they had no answer. 17 serving 14. Nelson able to punch it back. Hussein. This one given to Riley Zhang. He'll push it. Ayers setting it up for Nelson. That shot blocked out of bounds. Cougar point. 15 serving 17 coming up. Substitutions as Ball comes in for the serve to spell Halva. Ball up to the front off the serve receive. Riley Zhang rises up to touch it over. Ball airs. This one coming over. Joust at the net. Lee pushed it forward, and the Cougars won't send it back. 18-15, Panthers with the edge.
The Cougars doing a good job of keeping this one close. Of course, we saw that second set, that huge stretch that started to grow late. But, of course, now this one's still. They're in striking distance if they need it to be.
Ball up towards the front, touched over. Cruz to the middle. Lee with the spike. I think that caught blockers. No touch by Centennial. And so with that, a point to the Cougars. 16 serving 18. Cruz back set to the right side. Riley Zhang getting up there, and then it is touched over. Credit Nelson was saving that play for the Cougars. Lee gets deceptive. Comes up with a big swing, and then just the tap around the blockers to put it to the donut in the middle. Just a big hole there where nobody was. 19 serving 16.
Panthers have had good vision, I would say, throughout. We've seen them do that numerous times between these two teams. They've probably done it the most.
Riley Zhang on the serve. That's an ace. He found the back line. They had two Cougars there, and that ball just completely faked them out. 20-16 our score. These big serves with some bite on them coming from a few different Panthers as the match has gone on. Riley Zhang again. That one I think got away from him a little, but he did play it over clean on that serve. Shot blocked back. The Cougars on the attack again. They'll give it over free. Kolbaum, Cruz, set it up for Hussein. His spike popped into the air by the blockers. Powers, airs, and that touched over. Kolbaum down to a knee to get it. Cruz pushed it the wrong way, but his teammates pick him up and give it over. Cruz pops it up. Lee gives it to the right side. Rodriguez-Lazo reaches back to play it over to the Cougars side. Airs up to the front. This shot around the block. Diving dig. Lee keeps it alive. Kolbaum pushes it over. Long point. Ayers setting it up to the middle. Spiked around the block. Riley Zhang gets underneath that. Kolbaum out of the back row plays it clean. Nelson on the attack. Just a little too long. A point to Spring Lake Park. They outlast the Cougars on that one to take a 5-point advantage.
Yeah, outlast is right. Both of these guys on either side of the net, they're having to make sure that they're mentally in that one for how long compared to some of these rallies.
Riley Zhang. Nelson gets underneath it. Over to Powers. His shot down the line for a kill. Not a lot behind it, but he found the right spot. Pulls his team within 4. It's 21-17. Cruz setting it up. This spike popped right back over. Kolbaum up to the front. Cruz, and a lot of plays here out of the back row. Libro doing good work for Centennial. Jansa finishes off the point. He had such a good first and has been fairly quiet in the second and the third. Jansa's point makes it a 3-point differential. Ball sent a little long. Panthers will take that point. No complaints. 22-18, their lead.
If you're the Panthers, you know you've had how many runs that could quite well finish this one off. You've had how many strings together.
Those Cougars will not let it go. 22-19 after they find a soft spot in the middle. Ayers going back to serve. Zhang up to Cruz and missed time there. 22-20. Looks like the tightest finish that we've had. Remember, 5 points was the biggest, or the smallest win prior. Hussein gets it back, plays it into the blockers and down to the hardwood floor. 23-20.
And that's what you would think, coming from a third set. Both these teams warmed up, they're feeling it. They're not having those first set, maybe mishaps that they could have had.
Boomer Zhang floats it over. Nelson gets under it. Ayers trying to give it to Jansa. The block is there. This one falls on the side of the Cougars. With that, we're looking at set point, 24-20. Boomer Zhang on the serve. Nelson receives. Ayers. This shot blocked, and it will fall on the side of the Cougars again. Panthers have won back-to-back sets. They lead 2-1. This victory 25-20 over Centennial. We'll pause, come back for the fourth, where the Panthers will go for the win here on North Metro TV. Centennial took the first. The Panthers had taken the last two. Now the home team trying to get the win in 4. John Edenblatt Whaley back with you. That win in the first for the Cougars, I mean, it got tight at times, but 25-20, fairly decisive. And then Spring Lake Park owning the second, winning 25-15. Another fairly tight set in the third, but it went to the Panthers, who won 25-20. Both teams out on the court, and it looks like our official approves of their lineups, so we'll get going in just a moment.
The Panthers really just coming alive in those last two sets, and what has been interesting for me to watch them, this is the first time I've got to see them in person this season, and what's been nice is just the placement that they've had. Like I said earlier, just those deep placement, those cross kills.
Here, great start for the Cougars. Remember, the team that has scored the first point has won each and every set tonight. Cougars get a beautiful serve from Ayers to start, and it's 1-0. Ayers ready again. Sherimovic up to the front. Now this shot, cross court, Hussein missing wide. 2-0 Centennial to start. Smiles on the Panthers side on the error, but they don't want to fall far behind. This one, a rough receive, and it's 3-0 Centennial. The Cougars getting real loud on their side of the net.
Yeah, if you're the Panthers, how can you shake this one off? Make sure that you don't let this get further out of hand.
Deep serve. Zhang up to Zhang. No chance for Hussein on the third touch. Now, Spring Lake Park started the third set on a 5-0 run. This is a 4-0 run for Centennial, and it ends there. A serve into the net, but nice job by Ayers back at the line. Hussein back for the serve. Big jump serve. This one pops right back over on the receive. Boomer Zhang sets it up to Riley Zhang. His shot blocked back. Malave racing onto it. Can't get there in time. So the Cougars back out to a 4-point advantage as Powers goes behind the service line. The junior sends it over. Kolbaum. Boomer Zhang back to Kolbaum, and a spike and kill. Kolbaum has had the hardest and most controlled spikes here. We see a lot of pushes, a lot of touches, but Kolbaum has had the most regularity. And we talked about Jan's kind of unique, not a full arm swing, but just a touch because he's up so high.
That's so true. And I was getting to talk with some of the managers over there before the game, and they were saying that as well. They said, keep a lookout. He's definitely has some powerful strikes.
This time he comes up short on the serve. And so with that, Centennial picks up another point. 6 serving 2. Here's Jansa. Again, Jansa from the service line is almost like the front, right? He's a big guy, and he just floats it over. This one he floats wide, so the serve and the point go over to Spring Lake Park.
Yeah, you just think of how well-rounded of an athlete he is with that football, basketball, tennis experience, and then now adding volleyball. But you'd think just training all the different muscle groups, switching between these sports has probably only helped him.
Cruzy on the serve. Back set to the middle. Good spike by the Cougars, but popped into the air. Now pushed deep. Kept alive. What a swing. Diving dig by the libero. This one too strong off of Kolbaum. We talked about his control, but it was lacking there. 7-3 as the point goes to Centennial. A lot of flexing going on the Cougars side.
You gotta after something like that.
Jake Ball. Kolbaum up to the front. Cruz leads. Shot blocked. Cougars bellowing out is Cade Nelson after he makes the play. 8-3. Kolbaum up to the front. Cruzy sets it. This spike. Nicely done. Best shot we've seen tonight from Carlos Rodriguez-Lazo. He had a lot of attacks from the right side, and he was kind of all over the place because the sets weren't always there. That one right in his wheelhouse.
We saw how excited Cade Nelson was after his power move there, but then this one coming back to make sure his teammate knew it was okay. We see how quickly he makes sure that that camaraderie and the positive attitude continues, because he knows if they're going to get back in this one, the team has to be okay and thinking positive towards these next few points.
Off the ace, it's 5 serving 8. Into the net. Centennial back in front by 4 rather. So I just think it's a little bit interesting because I'm trying to think of other sports where we see that kind of celebration. I mean, we see it in girls volleyball, and to me it was almost kind of unique. They celebrate, they high five after every play no matter what happens. And there are some sports, you know, football for example, those guys could be saying, I have no idea because we're so far away from the action. Even fans in the front row aren't usually close enough to know what's happening and what's being said on the field. 9-6 the score as Lee gets sent to serve. But you don't see boys basketball players celebrating and screaming out quite as much as we do here with volleyball. And that's partially because of the break in between each point.
That's what I was going to say too.
Basketball, you got to run back on defense. Your coach will get on you if you're standing around yelling. This ball ends up on the Panthers' side in the end. First team to double digits here is the Cougars. 10-6 their advantage.
I feel like sometimes, you don't see it that much, but doubles tennis, I feel like, you know, the teammates try to at least come together, whatever happened between the two, but still, for sure, volleyball is the most you're going to see.
But they don't stand there and flex in each other's faces, right?
True. Maybe they should.
Maybe they should. This ball off the top. That one kept alive. That is a tough play to manage. Cougars upset. They thought that should have been 4 touches. Is that the call that Sarah Nelson's upset about? 10-7 the score. And again, the girls celebrate in the fall on every point. They're loud. Yep. It's just a little bit different. And so it's a unique experience to watch guys who, you know, if they played during the football season would get penalized for doing this stuff in the end zone, having a good time and letting loose. Boomer Zhang on the serve. 7 serving 10. Nelson up to the front. Ayers gives it to Jansa. His spike blocked back. Nelson keeps it alive. Now Powers pushes it over. This ball given to Hussein. His shot blocked back. Kept alive and then sent to the floor. Finishing off the play is Kevin Jansa. 11-7 off of the Jansa point. This set has a lot of the feel of the first one, right? A nice run to start for Centennial, and then anytime the Panthers start to make a charge, which pushed back. This ball also going back, finally sent forward, and unable to make a play on it up at the top was Riley Kolbaum. It was going to be 12 serving 7, and it will be eventually, but first a timeout taken by Spring Lake Park to try and slow things down. Cougars have been so boisterous. They are feeling it here in the fourth as they try to tie this match at 2 sets apiece.
If you're Spring Lake Park, again, how can you get out of your own head? You saw how well you were able to do in these last 2 sets. Try to make sure that you guys get back on that page and build from that confidence versus maybe the confidence that has been taken away from you here in these last few.
So for the Panthers, you know, we've seen some misplays by Kolbaum, who had been so strong throughout this match. Nobody else has really stepped up to fill that void. And they haven't been able to get long service runs together, right? That's been a big key for them, is that their serving has been strong. Whether it's resulted directly in a point on an ace or not, it has set them up for success by putting the Cougars back on their heels.
And I think if you're the Cougars, how can you use this momentum, this energy that you felt here in this early moment of this 4th set and build on it?
Ball set to the middle for Kolbaum. His spike slowed down by the blockers and kept alive. Now Hussein with a big swing, and that one caught the rafters up above. You can see a little bit of it on the camera at the very top. It's not quite the rafters, it's the curtain that would separate the 2 courts if they set up in the 2 basketball courts set up. Here, good hit by Hussein. Nelson gets back on it. Ayers with a bump set to the front. Jansa plays it over. Kolbaum set right back to him with one hand, and Riley Zhang gets it over. Jansa touching it around the block. Boomer Zhang gets under it. Kolbaum, and now it's given over free by Sherimovic. Ball played over. Kolbaum gets under it. This ball set to Hussein out of the back row. Pushes deep. Nelson's there. Ayers to Jansa. His shot blocked back, and it comes over. We play on. Bump set. Hussein out of the back row. That's a kill.
And if you're Spring Lake Park, not too many fans in the stands, but you can definitely feel it with the energy that they've just gained.
Hussein on the spike. Man, he's got a cannon back there. Ayers back sets to Jansa. Malav gets under it. This one set up for Zhang, and Riley Zhang gets past the lone blocker, Jonathan Halva. Down to a 2-point differential on the board.
I'm just so in awe with him, especially seeing that, of course, he's the 8th grader. We could go on and on about that, and just how many years he still has to show how much better he can get.
Net contact by the Cougars cuts the lead to 1. Hussein on the serve. Wow, that has bite. Kept alive and will be given over free. Malav. Zhang sets to the right side. Sherimovic touched the net. Oh, he placed it perfectly but couldn't control the body and got into the twine. On the board, they gave the point to Spring Lake Park. It should be 13-11.
Looks like they're going to straighten it out. There we go. Maybe going to.
Panthers were real concerned about that, so they want a replay on the point. Nobody's talking to the official, though. They're talking to each other. So 13-12 is on the scoreboard. That is accurate. Panthers trailing will serve it. Looks like Maddie and Yene and at least one other lacrosse player over there watching. The boys have the attention of the Athena Award winner here. This serve, far too low, not even into the net, so 14-12 now the score. Chance of serving, floats it over. Riley Zhang up to Boomer Zhang. Riley gets it back. Lefty push around the blockers. Now he comes back at the top. Lee gets to it. Zhang pushes it over. Ayers up into the air. Back set to Nelson. This spike kept alive by Riley Zhang. Touched right in to Sharamovich, who wasn't looking for that, wasn't expecting it. But a nice play by Centennial. 15-12 now the lead. Jansa. Deep flow. Hussein, Boomer Zhang, Riley Zhang, not quite kept alive. Looked like Riley didn't get as high. I mean, to imagine he could get higher would be hard to believe, but he didn't time his jump the way that he wanted to meet it at the highest point he could. Jansa into the net on that serve. Break for the Panthers, who needed it because it was 16-12. Now back to a 3-point game. Centennial has led the entire way, but the Panthers have not felt out of it, even starting down 4-0, even falling behind 8-3. Cruzy on the serve. Ayers pushes it over on the second touch. Lee punches it right back. This ball popped up. Kohlbaum keeps it alive. Riley Zhang pushing it deep. Ayers. Now a back set to Nelson. Spike, and Hussein digs it out. Great spike by Nelson. Lee touches around the block. Nelson keeps it alive. This spike popped up by Kohlbaum. Push to Hussein, and he'll make a play just to get it over. Powers, Ayers to the middle. This spike up off the blockers. Hussein plays it in the air. Kohlbaum up to Riley Zhang. They love pushing it to him on the outside. This ball to the middle, given right back. Now Nelson, shot dug out by Kohlbaum. Bump set to the middle for Lee. He goes deep. Nice dig on the other side. Ball to the middle. Lee swings at it again. Nelson gets it. Net contact from the Cougars. That epic point ends with an error at the net. 16-14, Panthers back within 2.
Some wonderfully athletic digs there by the Panthers, keeping them in that rally to make sure that they got the point. But we just see how much that paid off. Down just 2.
Here's set to the outside. This spike dug out. Pushed over. Now to the middle. Hussein. Big spike out of the back row. Hussein keeps it alive. Now to the middle, given over free. Longest rallies we've seen in boys volleyball this season have all been tonight. There's been a dozen of them or more. We're in the midst of one now. Nice dig by Kohlbaum. Cruzy sets it up for Hussein. His shot off the tape, kept alive. A point for the Panthers. They pull within 1. Tell you, the crowd of lacrosse players is growing. They came in just to stand and watch for a minute, but now it looks like they're looking to find chairs. That's how good the action has been here tonight. This shot falls to the floor. Nelson with the kill. Back to a 2-point edge.
You just feel the intensity building in the gym as, like you said, the lacrosse players are growing. Now the fans are growing,
yep.
But also these athletes, you can tell just how important these next few points will be.
This ball set to no one really, and then it hit the curtain on the way up. It cannot hit that curtain or any other rafter and cross over. So that's a point for Centennial as it's out of bounds. 18 serving 15. Kohlbaum receives. Ball set back to him out of the back row. A spike and kill as he pushed it right through Nelson. Now, while Spring Lake Park has kept it close and it's felt like they're in it, they really can't allow Centennial to go on any kind of run when Centennial is only 7 points away from victory here in the 4th set. The Centennial victory in the 4th would force a 5th. Panthers, if they can come back, would wrap up the match win. Serve receive a little off the mark, but this ball given over free, nearly out of bounds, but Colbaum played it. We'll never know. This ball pushed, given up to the front. Ayers sets up Nelson, spike. Colbaum gets an arm on it, bouncing ball upstairs, does it again, and then they can't play it. Hitting the rafters twice. And it seems like it's up there for a little bit longer, but it just throws everybody off. 19 serving 16. Nelson. Colbaum receives. Ball given to the outside. The spike, Hussein put it into the blockers and it goes out of bounds. Served back to the Spring Lake Park side. Lee back for the serve. Off the receive. Up to the front. This spike off the blockers. Zhang tried to save it, but he could not get enough lift under that. 20-17, Cougars up by 3.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you see a couple of guys with some of the knee pads on or knee sleeve maybe to not have the burn, but these guys really just taking a toll.
Ball played up towards the front, and this shot, Riley Zhang pops up Jantzas. This ball given over free. Nelson, Ayers, Powers wants it, swings wide. 2 points separate the teams again. 18 serving 20 coming up. Yeah, I hadn't noticed that almost none of the guys wear knee pads.
Yeah, I feel like, someone just has to normalize it. If one whole team was wearing it. Because I feel like it's just part of the uniform at some point. Like, I wouldn't overly be thinking about it if they all were wearing them.
I'm trying to think if I've seen any girls not wearing them.
Yeah, I feel like I've never seen it. I feel like it would never.
Nelson receives. Now Jansa swings, and it's too strong. He sends it over the back line. 1 point separating the two teams. We haven't been here since it was 16-15. Serve over. Nelson gets it up to the front. Ayers sets it to Jansa. That one dug out. It's kept alive. Free ball. That one, a dart by the libero. Nice job by Malay. Popped into the air. Given up to the front for Colbaum. He hits the kill. Tied at 20 here in the fourth. Boomer Zhang. The sophomore serving in the late stages here of the fourth. Taking his time, he got the whistle. Floats it, that one caught the tape and then goes out of bounds. It was a wide shot. Big point for the Cougars though, they go back in front. Having never trailed, they let go of the lead there, but they've never trailed. Ayers, who started this game with a 4-0 service run. Boomer Zhang sets up Hussein, great swing, tough play. Panthers pick up the point to tie us at 21 apiece. Cougars just couldn't get it back over.
Yeah, we've seen this one get tied up a few times here, but now the chance to take the lead.
Hussein, a dangerous server for Centennial to have to face here. Nelson has it roll up on him backwards, kept alive, nothing there. First lead of the fourth for the Spring Lake Park Panthers. It's 22-21. Hussein, ready again, and a timeout taken. Now the Cougars have taken some very effective timeouts to slow down Spring Lake Park throughout the course of the night. Will that happen here? Is that what Sarah Nilsson is counting on? She didn't take the timeout when it was tied. She takes it after her team falls behind for the first time in the fourth. As I said earlier, she's gotten more vocal as the night has gone on. They won the first set, fell in the last two, and now find themselves in a dangerous spot here in the fourth, down late. This will be our closest set so far because the trailing team already has 21 points.
I'm sure Coach Deegan trying to make sure her guys are going to stay in that mindset that they just had to get back into this set. So you think about it, what does that look like? Like you said, Centennial has come out of timeouts very strong. And so now making sure your guys are coming out just as strong, if not more.
So Hussein ready to go. Big jump serve, too much strength on it. Tied at 22.
Those are the moments that are tough. You want it so bad, and so sometimes that can affect how hard you hit it.
Malave, this ball bumped to the middle, and it's pushed deep. Powers gets to it. Ayers, and Nelson swings too strong. That one got away from him. Panthers back in front, 23-22. Tied at 20, tied at 21, tied at 22. What's going to happen here? Can Centennial get the point back and equalize? Big hit. Nelson gets to it. Ayers touches it. Given over free. Kolbom up to Zhang. Sharamovich with the spike. He got a little tape, but it was dug out by Powers. This given over free. Hussein. Zhang. And this one, nicely done. Great adjustment to the ball by Riley Zhang. Set point, match point. That was not exactly where he wanted it, but Zhang able to make a play on the ball and puts it down the line. Kolbom spike, hard bite, but Nelson pops it up. Jansa from the middle. Kolbom digs it out. Sharamovich to the middle, and Hussein hits it over. Powers, Ayers, Nelson spike. Hussein gets under it. Sharamovich on the play, and he pops it back over. Nelson with the push. Hussein. Zhang sets the middle for Lee. Touches it around the block. Wide and out of bounds. He had space over there to make a play. I'm not sure Nelson might have been able to get under that, but Nelson read it correctly. Still set point, 24-23. Cougars floated over with Jansa. Ball given to the front. Riley Zhang has to adjust to pop it over. This ball to the middle. Spike and kill. The Cougars tie it up at 24. Nicely done in the middle by Andrew Girton. So Jansa back on the serve once more. 25 is not going to be enough to win here in the fourth. Kolbom, Zhang setting up Hussein in the back row. He pushes it over. Nelson, Ayers, back to Nelson. His spike blocked back. He pops it up. Ayers gives it to the middle. This ball swung at. Sharamovich saves it, and now they can't get it over. Centennial with a lead at 25-24. Timeout taken by Spring Lake Park.
Here for these late points, I feel like both of these teams have had some heavy hitters being those who are going to serve it up. So Centennial sitting in a good spot with having Jansa being able to be the one serving.
You would think they'd be better served with him at the front of the net, and yet here
Fair,
he
yeah.
is serving and getting the job done. We have not had an abundance of service errors tonight. Probably the fewest in a boys volleyball match that we've covered this season on North Metro TV. And Jansa, with his style, isn't one to probably have a lot of errors. It's not an overly aggressive serve. It's about getting it over. So Jansa on set point for the Cougars. Floating it over. Kolbom. Zhang to Zhang. This one blocked back. Burton finishes it off. What an effort by him down the stretch. Centennial takes the fourth and will play 5 tonight here at Spring Lake Park. It's a 26-24 win for the Cougars to tie us at 2 apiece. We'll pause and then come back for the final frame here on First to 15 here in the 5th set. We're tied at 2 sets apiece. And what a 4th we just had. Centennial winning 26-24. John Edmund, Blaise Whaley back with you here on North Metro TV. 2 teams ready on the court. Looks like our officials just about ready as well. And Blaise, the hard question is, does anyone have momentum? Or if they, and who is it if they do? Because I can't figure it out.
Yeah, both of these teams. I mean, coming into this final set, I don't think either of these teams have had a 5-set matchup.
They've all played 3 sets.
You know, this is different for them for what this season has looked like. So it's not, and it's definitely unmarked territory for both teams.
Boomer Zhang on the serve. Nelson, airs. Jansa, good strong push. Dug out. Hussein will push it deep. Nelson under it, up to the front. Second touch pushed over. Riley Zhang, good work. Boomer Zhang sets it up, and Hussein will give it over free. Nelson back on it again. Airs up to the front. Miscommunication by the Cougars, and it's the Panthers who draw first blood in the 5th. We talked about it earlier. The team that has scored first in each of the first 4 sets won that set. And usually they go on a run to start. Let's see if we can get another from the Panthers. Cougars set it up to the middle. This shot blocked back. Touched over. Kolbaum gets it up. Over to Sharamovic. His spike popped up by Powers. Nelson out of the back row. Riley Zhang doing some good digging. Sharamovic touches it over to the front. Jansa, a flick of the wrist, sends it to Malay. Kolbaum shot blocked back. Big play at the front of the net. Jansa was there, but it looked like Halva led the charge that time. 1-1 our score. So it looks like, it feels like we're picking up right where the 4th left off. Back and forth. Serve into the net. Panthers back in front 2-1.
Yeah, we've seen both teams jump out to that run, whoever got that first point, and now neither team really is starting that.
Hussein serve. Nelson gets it up. He'll get it back. Cade Nelson, the deep push. Hussein back on it to keep it alive. Boomer Zhang, now Riley Zhang hits it over free. Nelson airs to the front. Jansa. Malave, Boomer Zhang. And it's finished by Hussein. 3-1 Panthers. So Hussein gets to continue at the service line. Ooh. He missed on that one, no doubt about it, off the service error. 2 serving 3 coming up.
And as you mentioned, we haven't seen a whole lot of that. I think just the excitement of that last play.
Jansa floats it over. Boomer Zhang setting up Kolbaum. Good push. Nelson keeps it alive, and it's touched over, but out. Was it touched? It was touched. Three our score. Floated over. Hussein. Boomer Zhang. Nifty play there by Kolbaum. That wasn't right where he wanted it. Kolbaum setting it up. Gave it to Riley Zhang. Up to the front of the net. That's not the set that the Cougars were looking for. Girton trying to set up his teammate, but might have been better off just touching it over. 4-3 lead. Riley Kolbaum. Into the net. Service error is becoming a bigger problem for Spring Lake Park down the stretch, though. I mean, we had 2 here in this 5th. They had a couple of costly ones, certainly in the 4th, since they lost 26-24.
And I would say that has been a strength for them throughout all of these sets tonight, and now late having some of these errors.
Sharamovic with a good swing, popped up into the air by the defense. Now the block, beat by Nelson. Cade Nelson shut down on the play. It's a 5-4 game in favor of the visitors. Hussein with a big swing. That one just out of bounds. It was very, very close. 6-4. Centennial in front.
Hearing some fans call for a replay on that last one.
I mean, there have been some close plays, but there's only one official here, and ball kept alive. Good effort by Centennial, but they cannot give it back, and so it's a 6-5 game. Spring Lake Park within one.
I think it's kind of interesting because, of course, Spring Lake Park not having to deal with the curtain.
Oh, that's true.
So they've had to deal with it the whole time. Centennial trying to get some of those over, and that's definitely affected at least 3 of them, I feel like.
No, that's a great call out. Home court advantage.
Right.
Druzy sets it up, and this one touched over. Ooh, rough pass, but it's touched over on the second attempt. Kolbaum, composed, keeps it alive. Hussein pushes it over. Powers. Ayers sets it up. Block back! Lee with Carlos Rodriguez-Lazo on his hip. And we're tied at 6. Blake Cruz. Powers, Ayers to the middle. Gerton's kill. 7-6 Cougars back in front. Cade Nelson going back for the serve. Kolbaum, back set to the right side. Riley Zhang making a play from over there. Towards the front of the net, rough pass, kept alive and given over free. Riley Zhang with the lefty push. Ball got it up, now towards the front, Powers gives it free. Set to the back row. No doubt about it from Riley Kolbaum. Tied at 7. Really nice swing out of the back row. Able to beat the blockers. Remy Zhang. Ayers, this one, jousted at the net, kept alive, and it's back on the Panthers side. Good effort by the Cougars. This ball set up for Hussein, he touches it over. Powers, now to the middle. Gerton's shot, popped up by Kolbaum. Riley Zhang. And this one, did it find the line? It did! A kill for Hussein, just barely.
Now see if the Panthers able to string a few together. Now getting after those server errors.
Remy Zhang again. Nelson. Ayers. Nelson wants it back. He's going to push deep. Kolbaum's there. This ball, Rodriguez-Lazo with the swing. Lee keeps it alive. Popped up. Kolbaum from the back row. Played up by Ball. Moved towards the front. Gertens hits it over. Kolbaum. Now set to Hussein. Hussein with the swing. This one goes into that curtain again, and now it's given over free. Remy Zhang. Cruz to Lee. He tried to go around the block. They keep it alive for a moment, but the Panthers get the point. Spring Lake Park matching their largest lead since it was 3-1. It's a 9-7 advantage going to 15 here in the 5th. Remy Zhang. That one Nelson can't control. Ball was almost there to save him, but he couldn't make the play either. First team to double digits here in the 5th. The Panthers who lead 10-7.
Yeah, finally seeing one of these teams start to string some together again. Panthers looking like they might be able to go on a bigger run with this service from Remy Zhang.
It's been a 4-point swing. Here a big swing, make it a 5-point swing. Hussein. He's been good all night. He's raising it to another level here in the 5th. Timeout, Cougars. So Spring Lake Park brings it in. They lead by 4. They need 4 to win here in the 5th.
Yeah, I think it's a good call if you're Sarah Nelson to make sure your guys have their head on straight, knowing that you really don't want the Panthers to pull any further ahead, as you have had so much of this particular set, how close it's been, just back and forth, and not wanting really the Panthers to gain that momentum. It's disrupted the Panthers numerous times when she's called these.
So both teams return to the floor. The Cougars need to find a way to get the serve on their side. Panthers break out of the huddle. The hometown fans have been loud for them tonight. Remy Zhang, ready to go.
Yeah, you can tell he's feeling it back there.
He had some trouble out of a timeout earlier tonight. Sarah Nelson has used that to her advantage repeatedly this evening. This time a good serve. Nelson up to Ayers, to the middle for Gertens. Cruz gets underneath it. Remy Zhang, and it's pushed over by Hussein. Ayers up to the front for Gertens. Big swing, and he bounces it off the blockers for a point. Gertens pulls his team within 3. 8 serving 11 coming up. Centennial looking for a run. Serve, Hussein pops it up. Cruzy gives it to Kohlbaum out of the back row, a kill. Slams it right off the block of Jansen. Another back row attack works out for Kohlbaum. 12-8, the lead for the Panthers.
So where in the past we see that timeout, maybe Centennial would have went on a larger lead. Sure, they were able to serve, but right back to the Panthers it went.
Ayers gives it to Jansen. Remy Zhang setting up Hussein now, and a big kill for Hussein. 13-8.
Overall, he's had some great ones here tonight, but definitely even more so in these last couple sets.
Ayers bumps set towards the front. Jansen. Lee out of the back row. Cruzy. Now this shot too strong. Rodriguez Lazo sends it wide. Cougars back within 4. The Panthers need just 2 more. Ayers ready to go. Hussein wants it back. Nope, they go to Kohlbaum. Nice dig by Nelson on the other side. Jansa hits it over. Zhang to Cruz. This one towards the back corner. It's down for a point. Cougars thought it was out. Panthers claim it and now have match point. They had match point in the last set, couldn't finish it out. Here with a 5-point advantage. Can they get it done? Boomer Zhang comes in for the serve. They're also going to send in Sharamovich. Floated over, kind of rough receive from Alvar, kept alive. Now the Panthers on the attack. Kohlbaum with a spike, it comes back over big. Hussein. Not sure he got all of it, and now we have serious net contact from the Cougars. That'll wrap it up. 15-9, Spring Lake Park takes the 5th. They win their 3rd match of the season. Fun one here tonight. Waves to the opponents in these COVID times, and they wrap it up. So the Cougars fall to 2-3. They'll play Patrick Henry on Thursday. Spring Lake Park improves to 3-2. They've got Mounds View on Wednesday. I want to thank you all for tuning in for our entire North Metro TV crew, including my broadcast partner Blythe Whaley. I'm John Haddon saying so long from Spring Lake Park, for the hometown Panthers win 3-2.